Hey, and today I'll be presenting my media project that I've made based upon Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. The media project itself is a series of 6 portraits of characters that present individuality within the Brave New World. And so the portraits they are of Mustafa Mund, the main antagonist of the novels, the novel's main antagonist, followed by John the Savage, protagonist in the second half of the novel. He is followed by Helmholtz Watson, the supporting character throughout the novel for Bernard Marx, who is our next character, the main protagonist in the first half of the novel. Then we have Lenina Crown, who is a character that appears just throughout the novel. And finally, we have Linda, who is another character. She is John's mother, and she appears throughout the second part of the novel as well. So I'll be explaining this whole individuality thing and just the significance of each character right after this quick time lapse I've made. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and Alright, so now that the time lapse is done, I'll be explaining the significance. So, basically, in the Birdno world, there's a society of extroverts. Extrovert activities are pushed, be it heavy drug use through the soma, heavy sexualization, all of that stuff that goes through their conditioning, all their communal activities, just like sports, all that stuff is really promoted, and individuality and private intimacy and such is just shunned by the society and by the government. So basically, each character presents a different level of individuality, be it not individual at all, or being highly individual among the sheep, pretty much. So I'll be presenting that now. So Linda is John's mother, as mentioned before, and she's a beta minus human. So being a beta minus, she is heavily conditioned to fit her standards, which makes her really just plain. She's plain as any other characters. She partakes in drug use, over sexual, activities, and just like all the other stuff. She's conditioned. She spouts out all this conditioning crap, but she is unique in the sense that she was tarnished by the Savage Land. So when she was trapped in the Savage Reservation, she aged unlike her other peers, and that makes her unique among the others. This fusion between our what we would consider normal and what society would consider normal with her behavior, but with her basically because of her other appearance, it really horrifies people, no matter who looks at her, be it a civilized person or a savage like us, the reader, or anybody else. So yeah, that's the reason why she is ironically individual and plain at the same time. Next character, Lenny the Crown. She is also a beta minus character, and she is just like pretty much poor Linda over there. Linda being conditioned, Lenina being conditioned as well, but Lenina is different in the sense that she's individual in her sexual life. So she partakes in sexual activities, but she's known to have only one partner at a time, which means that she goes against the non-intimacy rules of her society, which her friend and confidant Fanny Crown, no relation, basically tells her about and complains about. So in that sense, Lenina is individual in her sexuality, but overall, she still remains a quite the plain character. So Bernard Marx ups the ante here. So he is a alpha plus male. However, what makes him unique is the fact that he is shorter by 8 centimeters than his other colleagues, which gives him much ridicule from his peers and really ostracizes him from society. He feels alone. And so people reject him. Basically nobody wants to have sex with him. Nobody wants to have relationships with him at all. And this makes Bernard extremely bitter. This makes him hate this society. Additionally, Bernard also runs the hypnotic facilities in the London hatcheries, which is responsible for most of the conditioning. So he understands the conditioning way better than in most other people. However, Bernard also reveals himself to be quite the hypocritical character, because as soon as he gets famous by finding John the Savage, he indulges in the same sins that he condemned beforehand, making him basically a hypocrite and just showing us that even though he is more individual than, let's say, Lenina and Linda, his individuality is only pushed by his misery of being different and ostracized in his society. So now that this is out of the way, we'll be going to Helmholtz. Good old Helmholtz Watson. So Helmholtz Watson over here is also a alpha plus, but he's an alpha plus through and through. This man, he is built like a truck. He's got just a beautiful, manly face, as you see over here. as in my interpretation of his character. And overall, he is the antithesis of Bernard. While Bernard is miserable driving his individuality, basically what we're saying, Helmholtz is not miserable at all. In fact, he partakes in all the sins as well, but he doesn't complain about them. However, he does complain by the lack of art. Art is also another, beauty is also another thing that is not really explored by the society. The society kind of condemns it as well. And so because of that lack of art, because of his conditioning being a little different, him enjoying things of beauty, he is different from everybody else, and so that's what pushes his kind of individuality. So as opposed to Bernard being, as opposed to being miserable like Bernard, he is just pushed by him just being built different. So yeah, next character. John the Savage, as we see, is a different character, and he's perhaps my favorite one out of them all. So John was born in a savage reservation to a Alpha Plus dad and a Beta Minus mom, Linda, and Thomas Tomakin, whatever his, basically, the director of the hatcheries in London, or before, at least he was that before he was exposed by Bernard Marx. So John over here is different from everybody else. He's not conditioned, or not conditioned like everybody else. However, he is conditioned to dislike the things, the very key values of his society. Being traumatized from a young age by his mother's neglect because of her casual sex and alcohol use due to her conditioning. John really had a hatred for that stuff, and he really just wanted intimacy. He wished for intimacy much like Bernard does, and he disdains the activities. He also enjoys art and literature, being an avid reader of Shakespeare, who really influences his the way he speaks and just like all these other things in his life. And so, unlike, let's say, Bernard and Helmholtz, John can really express his individuality because of his lack of conditioning. His conditioning is actually the opposite. He's the antithesis of these two characters, and therefore this makes him probably one of the most individual characters out of them all from this cast of characters. Although there is one catch, because we have one more character. Mustafa Mund. He is perhaps John. He's basically John's antithesis. So Mustafa Mund was born into his society. He wasn't born. He was created. He is a Alpha Plus male, and a world controller by this point. So in his youth, he explored the sciences. He was really fond of physics. He was really sophisticated in physics. But due to his enthusiasm and individuality, he was targeted by the world leaders, the world controllers, and was basically captured by the police. So after that, he was given the option to be either be exiled to an island inhabited by other deviants like him, or to be trained as a world controller by the world controllers at that time. So Mustafa chose the dark path as opposed to John because of his conditioning, and he became the thing that basically he became the guy who limits everyone's individuality. He is really unique because of the fact that he, despite him preaching, just like having old literature destroyed, he himself keeps a large collection of old texts and like reads them and knows them, and he is as cultured as John is. So basically, these two people, just the only reason why he's different is because he is the one orchestrating this whole thing of society. He wants to support it. He wants society to be stable, happy, and just like he wants it to last forever. Unlike John, who wishes for freedom of to do anything he wants. He wants freedom from drugs. He wants everybody to experience freedom. And so these two characters, they have their almost standoff near the end, their own debate. But yeah, this is what makes Mustafa Mund one of the most unique characters as well. On par with John, just a little lower, just because of his conditioning limitations and other things, other factors. So this concludes my presentation on my media assignment inspired by The Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. So as a recap, we have individuality, which is a deviating thing from the world society of The Brave New World. So this spectrum contains 6 characters from the book that go from least individual to most individual, Linda to basically John and Mustafa Mund. And yes, so basically each character has their own quirks, their own reasons for being individual, and yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed this presentation. Again, thank you so much for watching it, and yeah, peace.